This is the first alternation of currents of this creation. Without alternation of currents, there is neither electricity nor magnetism, and there is no electromotor or dynamo, and there is no lungs, there are no lungs and there is no respiration. There is no heartbeat. All these activities are double pulsation. That is an alternation of two states. The respiration is an alternation of inhalation and exhalation. The heartbeat is an alternation of blood supply to the body and receiving blood from the body. Without alternation, there is no duration. That is how the creation is made from the beginning. And the creation comes down as an alternation of active and passive states. Hence it is always periodical. Whereas the background is eternal. The whole thing is eternally periodical. This is what the scriptures explain. And this is what Madame Blavatsky explains in her Isis Unveiled and Secret Doctrine. That's why these two books have become the basis of all the books of Alice A. Bailey. Without these two books, there is no book of initiation, human and solar, or treatise on cosmic fire, no book of Alice A. Bailey at all, because it is the same author who has dictated the books to Madame Blavatsky and to Alice Bailey also. This is something about the triangles. And if you permit me to take 10 more minutes, I will present a third aspect also. It's already 10 minutes past 10. If you have no objection, if I take 10 minutes more, I will explain another aspect of the triangle. There is the triangular activity of the socio-economic structure of humanity, a knowledge of which is more useful than the things we have seen till now. And this socio-economic triangle is much discussed in every scripture of India. There is no Purana and no book among Sanskrit scriptures which has not explained the socio-economic triangle. It explains like this. Observe the three aspects. The process of knowing something, the process of doing something, and the process of offering something. There are two schools of philosophers. One believe that knowledge is very important and knowledge protects us from evil, and we should know everything correctly before we do. If we do something without proper knowledge, we may go into danger. So, the most important thing is knowing. So, from knowing we proceed to doing. And there is the another school of philosophers who believe in the other way. they say, unless we begin to do something with the help of a guide or an elder, how can we know the intricacies of the process? Suppose my friend explains to me how this instrument works for 10 years. Can I assemble the instrument? Impossible. I should go and work as his assistant in his workshop. On the physical plane, not the intellectual plane. And then only I can know how to assemble the machine and use it. Suppose you explain to me what music is for 10 years. And every 15 days I receive a lesson through postal correspondence from you about music. For 10 years. Can I produce music? What is required is I should sit with you in the opera, and I should sit with you when you are alone, and I should start singing with you, make mistakes and rectify myself, and then grow better and better until I become perfect. Then I can know what music. This is the second school of thought. The first school of thought is called Jnana Yoga. The second school of thought is called Karma Yoga. And the fellows fight for supremacy upon each other. From the beginning of creation till today, they are fighting to have the first place. Which of the two theories is correct? Lord Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita, it is the same whichever way you begin and proceed. It is the same if you draw the straight line like this or like this. It all depends upon how you practice it. If you are a left-hander, you will draw in one way. If you are a right-hander, you can draw in another way. But what is required is to make a beginning at one point, you will automatically go to the other point. Or if you make a beginning here, you will automatically go to the next point. But if you want to know which of the two paths is correct, you will die as an idiot and a philosopher, useful neither to yourself nor to others. And there should be third aspect to take these journeys. The presence or absence of the third aspect in you makes it a success or failure of your journey, whichever way you begin. Then the disciple asked, what is meant by offering? Shall I offer $100 for the Swamiji doing something for spiritualism? My boy, you can offer, but that is not what is required here. You can ask, is it $1,000? No. Understand, spiritualism is no begging. And no beggar can dream of being a spiritualist in his life. He is a beggar, he can never help you how to be happy. And then you ask, you are giving conferences everywhere. Shall I give you these instruments? Can we call it offering? You can give the instruments because they are useful. but that never comes under offer. Then shall I offer you my apartment, my hall, where you can conduct your conferences? You can do, but it never comes under offering. Then I am having a good shop for furniture and chairs and cushions. Can I offer my furniture for your better use? Can I make the Swamiji sleep on a good cushion? You can do it, but there is no offering in it. Offering belongs to the I am in you and not the I have in you. Boy, you are required and not your belongings. If you have still the timidity to offer, timidity which keeps you away from offering yourself, for fear of losing individuality, then wait for the next examinations in the university. If you have lost the fear of some nightmare or devil called individuality, and if you have understood that there is something more valuable than your individuality in yourself, that is yourself. If you have common sense enough to believe that you are more valuable than your individuality, then you will know what offering is. And you can make your life activity a journey of no return. If you have any benefit or profit motive in what you do, along with that you offer yourself. And if you have a question, what is the advantage of practicing spiritualism? It's a waste. If you question, what is the advantage of my practicing yoga? It's a waste of time, don't go in for it. If you have crossed the advantage mind, if you want to experiment with the truth of happiness, if you want to offer yourself unconditionally, and if you are pleased to accept that even though you fail, you don't care, then only you are rewarded. That is what is called offering. You have to sacrifice yourself and not your belongings. You can safely distribute your belongings to your children and grandchildren and come barefooted. And then you can begin at some point and go to the second point. All others die in their own logic, trying to understand which is correct. And then those who have the spirit of offering, they will understand the basic triangle of what I do and what I gain and what I enjoy. This is the basic triangle which is there at the bottom of your own nature, and it should be touched, and everyone should respond to the activity of this triangle. What I do can be called your profession. Let it be employment or business or any activity. And the second thing is what is called remuneration. That is what we get out of what we do. And then The third aspect is what you purchase out of your remuneration. And for a sensible fellow, it includes a few items. That is food and drink, and garments, and housing. For a fellow who lost his brains, these things will be multiplied into thousands and millions, so that the commercial fellows take advantage of you and make you believe that everyone in your house should have a watch for his own. Because he wants to sell at least 10 watches a house. That is required in aggressive salesmanship. Whereas the truth was, 100 years ago, there was one clock to the wall, and everyone could have the idea of time from one clock. And in big offices also there were one or two clocks which can be used. Now the commercial fellow has an advantage over you to make you believe that everyone should have a watch for his own before one can eat and drink. So the sensible fellow has only a few things. Now what is required is where to begin and where to end. We have one beginning like this. We do our job or profession or business. We get our remuneration and we purchase what we want. So make a beginning here and go to the second aspect and make an ending here. What's the result? The result is minimum effort and maximum remuneration. If we make a beginning like this, the human animal can put forth minimum labor for the society and extract maximum advantage from the society, and purchasing not the needs but the desires. And then what happens? Another fellow also does the same thing with you. The result is competition as the keynote of life. Instead of adjustment as the keynote, we go into false economics that are being taught in the universities nowadays. That is the economics of increasing demands, traveling nowhere. So, two people live by eating each other. If I have to live, I have to eat you and live. And you have to eat me and live. That's the only law that is left for us. And this leads to social competition, which produces the inevitability of the political situation. And the result is local fight and national disturbances, international feuds, and the most civilized result, that is global war. This makes war inevitable. That is what is described in the scriptures about this triangle. Then what to do? You have made a wrong beginning. You begin with the second aspect. You calculate the remuneration you receive. Use it to purchase what you need. Eat to live. Dress. Have a house to live. Live to do. See that the duty aspect is not changed. Let this aspect be given top priority in your life. That is, the social structure should be your ideal. Immediately, a change takes place in you. You will begin to live among people who have no fear of you. And then you will create a society that believes you. If 3 people can do like this, they produce at least 9 people who believe in each other. And then there is faith and belief increasing in the innate goodness of the human being. And life is livable and sweet to you because people believe you and they have every faith upon you. They know that you put forth work worth $100 and demand $50 from the society. When they know it once about you, they have everything for you. And everyone will have everything for others. And there is no competition in the society. Competition is a primitive instinct which proves that man has come out of beast, because it leads to the beastly aspect of fight and war. That is, instead of living like a human being, we have to live like wolves or dogs or tigers or animals. That is what war means. So, the scriptures differentiate between the 2 different beginnings of the socio-economic triangle. And they explain the inevitable results of each beginning. And in Sanskrit they call it dharma. The second aspect they call it artha. And they call the third aspect as kama, which are wrongly and nastily translated as duty. Don't translate it. This is wrong translation that is given in the previous books. The second is called money. The third is called sex. They have translated into terms which they know. So, thank you for the patient hearing for today. We meet again tomorrow. But there are many aspects, wonderful aspects about the triangle. One lecture is not at all enough. But before I complete the session of this season, I will be speaking something about the triangles now and then again. Thank you.